Who wants to talk about a quote-unquote leak that's by no means credible, and let's blow it out of proportion? Yeah, dude, it's the internet, we can do whatever we want! So, there's a rumor or a leak going around by a famous/infamous leaker that Xenoblade Chronicles X is getting a remake for the Switch 2. Link in the description down below, to the tweet that I'm using at least, from @Stealth40k. I'll be honest, I don't buy the leak, I don't buy this rumor, but it's Xenoblade X. You know your boy loves Xenoblade X, so let's talk about the game that has giant freaking robots in it, shall we? Now, funnily enough, I don't believe the veracity of this specific report, but I've been on record, kind of, over the last year or so, saying that I think it is incredibly likely. Yeah, can we replace the English language to that, whatever that was? Let's go with that. I think it's incredibly likely that we see some kind of Xenoblade Chronicles X representation on the Switch 2, because it makes too much sense in my opinion. Xenoblade Chronicles X is a game that is stuck on the Wii U, a console that I'm pretty sure only 7 people, one of which is myself, bought, and with the rest of the Xenoblade Chronicles franchise now on the Nintendo Switch on a modern console, then in all likelihood will be backwards compatible with the next console, or other way around. The rest of the Xenoblade franchise is easily accessible by Nintendo players, but Xenoblade Chronicles X, not really. I put a lot of stock in Xenoblade X. In my opinion, it is my second favorite game in the entire franchise behind only 2. I love X. I love X to death. I think Mira's story and world is incredible. And Xenoblade X is a game you can easily sink as many hours as you could in all the other games in my opinion. I love Xenoblade X to death. It is a beautiful world that is engrossing and fun and mechanically sound and satisfying, with only needing a few major tweaks here and there to really smooth out those rough edges. And for me, it just makes sense to have Xenoblade X as a remaster or something like a definitive edition for the Switch 2 in that 1-year launch window, right? Now, why is this, and why have I been saying this? Because I'm not really basing this on any, internal launch. I'm just a fan, right? And I'm making my own ideas, my own patterns. I'm connecting my own dots, if you will. Normally, in between each major numbered title release for Xenoblade Chronicles, there are 2 supplementary releases in the meantime. Between Xenoblade 1 and 2, we had the release of 1 on the 3DS, as well as Xenoblade X. Between 2 and 3, we had the DLC for 2, Torn of the Golden Country, and we had Xenoblade Chronicles 1 Definitive Edition. Now, between 3 and what we assume to be 4, so far we only have 3's DLC, Future Redeemed, that still leaves that other title for something to be filled if they want to continue down this pattern. It is entirely possible they elect not to go down this pattern. Other people have said, what if Xenosaga or Xenogears fills that slot? I imagine it would be other development teams heading up those releases, and I imagine Monolith would be working on something all of their own. To me, Xenoblade X just makes the most sense, because to my knowledge, and from what I've heard from other players, Xenoblade Chronicles X scales incredibly well with additional power behind it. Xenoblade X is also a game that can awestrike you, make you just stand there with your jaw agape, wondering how this game worked on even the Wii U. It is gorgeous and runs surprisingly well. A game that was advertised on the idea, the premise, that if you can see it, you can get to it, and the game achieves that in spades, but also in fun and interesting ways. The scale mechanic sets it apart from the rest of the Xenoblade franchise. Xenoblade X has an incredibly unique soundtrack, headed up by Sawano. Yeah, the Attack on Titan guy. Yeah, he did the soundtrack to Xenoblade X. It's incredible. With a mix between rock songs that have hip-hop inspiration, and then the more slower melodic songs that are absolutely amazing. Xenoblade X has my favorite soundtrack in the franchise, and it's not by a close margin. And I love the soundtracks to Xenoblade 1, 2, and 3. I always find myself listening to X's far more, though. You have characters that are easily advertisable, with a world that is beautiful and engrossing and mysterious that you want to explore, with so many unique visuals and aesthetics and just landscapes that grip you, pull you in, and refuse to let go. Everything about Xenoblade X, with additional power behind it, and maybe a few touches here and there graphically or aesthetically, or about the textures, screams that this would be an amazing game to showcase the potential and the power of the next console. Because that's kind of the role that Breath of the Wild and Xenoblade 2 fulfilled for Nintendo back when the Switch first came out, alongside Mario Odyssey. Now, obviously, Xenoblade 2 didn't sell as well as Odyssey or Breath of the Wild, but Xenoblade 2 sold the best in the franchise at that point, and still is the best-selling game in the franchise. There is absolutely something to be said about releasing a game like Xenoblade Chronicles in a window for a new console that it's going to have a bunch of hype surrounding it that, in all likelihood, won't have a firm established base of exclusive games for a year or two. You fit a Xenoblade game in that initial launch window, and we have seen the success that it can have. Xenoblade X just makes a ton of sense in a lot of ways, in my opinion. And I imagine, especially in the run-up to the next Nintendo Direct, which I imagine, and I know I've been saying this for a while, which is like, at this Direct, they'll announce the next Nintendo console. Eventually, that will be proven correct, duh. But if the console's gonna come out this year, like, how long do you want to wait? That's just the logic I'm going with here. And the fact of the matter is, with every new Nintendo Direct, the chance and likelihood of the new console being announced increases. There's a reason that eventually, if I just keep saying, oh yeah, it'll be at this Direct or this Direct, eventually I will be right, because they're going to announce a new console at some point, and it's likely to be this year. And in all likelihood, we're going to have a February Direct like we always do. It is entirely possible they announce the new console then. And I imagine, as we have seen, rumors are going to spread about what the new console is going to look like up to that announcement and even past it. The hype and fervor will only snowball and increase from here on out. Xenoblade Chronicles as a franchise is growing in popularity and is starting to become a known entity for Nintendo. Is it one of their highest echelon tiered games in terms of sales? No. But it's becoming far more of a known entity, and the sky is the limit for Xenoblade Chronicles. And in my opinion, a large reason why it hasn't really broken through to go up another tier is the gameplay loop and the initial introductory experiences of the games being pretty damn slow. Xenoblade X can round that out, and with a few tweaks and touches here and there for a definitive edition, a remake, or a remaster, in my opinion, Xenoblade X has an incredible gameplay loop. It's really fun and enjoyable. Great customization from a gameplay perspective. But the initial release of Xenoblade X does suffer from that slow early start. But that can be remedied, that can be fixed by giving you additional abilities earlier on. Maybe even throwing in a few new arts here and there. Maybe a few new weapon archetypes as well. Why not? Go balls to the wall with it. Xenoblade X is a game made of arguably four distinct moments. When you boot it up and you start to explore the world of Mira and you realize how big, engrossing, and lovable this world is. When you get your skull and all of a sudden you can jump around places, you can move far faster, and you can jump to places you couldn't navigate to before, and the world opens up significantly more, and your entire perspective changes about the world. And then when you unlock flying, because yeah, you can fly your freaking skull in this game, it's incredible, where you get your own theme song for flying the skull as you glide around the world of Mira. It's incredible, and the game changes your perspective and your viewpoint on it on a consistent basis throughout the experience, and it keeps feeling fresh and new, even when you're going over similar zones you've already been to. Xenoblade X does not need a lot of systemic changes, in my opinion. It just needs more power to run at 60 FPS and at a higher resolution, upscale a few of the textures, which may be a bit intensive, development-wise at least, admittedly, renovate the UI because it's god-awful, and makes my eyes damn near bleed, and then you adjust the drop rates of certain drops, because they are extremely harsh in Xenoblade X. Just increase the drop rate so it's far less grindy. Make sure the Switch 2 has good online capabilities, and Xenoblade X already has online features built in it. Yeah, you can pair up with other players to take on giant monsters to get better and better loot that you can utilize for better equipment or whatnot, or even for your skill to unlock and buy new skills. Yeah, Xenoblade X has multiplayer. Multiplayer Xenoblade is a real thing, and it's Xenoblade X. And I've said this for a while. Rumors are going to circulate a ton in regards to the next Nintendo console and for Xenoblade as a franchise. Because Xenoblade is in a massive question mark phase right now, where we simply don't know definitively where the franchise will go from here. Xenoblade X and returning to Mira seems like an easy call. And I imagine you'll see more and more people claim that there's going to be a remake or a remaster incoming. I can only say that I speculate that there will be one, because to me it makes logical sense. Not only for Monolith, but also for Nintendo. Xenoblade X got screwed over by the circumstances of its release, being on an unpopular console with a game that had so much of a focus on the multiplayer to round out that grindy experience was not the best fate for it. and it came out right before the franchise really started to blow up with Xenoblade 2. There are more eyes on Xenoblade than ever before. You release a game like Xenoblade X that has multiplayer that is gorgeous and beautiful, that in my opinion is also more mechanically sound than any other Xenoblade game, with a few touches and a few bits of love here and there. You release that and you market it for a new console, an initial window when there's not likely going to be a ton of games for it. More eyes will be drawn to Xenoblade as a result, in my opinion. It just makes a bunch of sense, and it's something that tied over the Xenoblade fans until the next numbered title. So, do I believe this rumor or leak going around in regards to a Xenoblade Chronicles X remake? Not necessarily, but the logic behind having a Xenoblade Chronicles X remaster or remake even for the next Nintendo console in that initial window, launch title window, that has always made a ton of sense to me. So while I'm not one to believe a lot of these individual leaks or claims, I'm a massive fan of Xenoblade Chronicles X, and I'll talk about the game whenever I can because I love the game to death. I am a stan of Xenoblade Chronicles X, if you will. I am a firm believer not only in the game's potential, well, I guess that's kind of what it just said, in the game's potential. The game, quite frankly, got shafted by the circumstances of its release, and the circumstances of the console it was released on. I love Xenoblade Chronicles X. Is it a perfect game? No. But a revisit to Mira, fleshing out some of that world, maybe a few additional stories here and there, few tweaks to the gameplay here and there, a UI overhaul, keep the art style but upscale it, make it run at 60 FPS consistently. With that soundtrack, with that world, round out the initial, first half of the story overall to be as good as the second half. Xenoblade X has a ton of potential. I love Xenoblade X to death, and I sincerely hope that I'm wrong in my assessment of this leak. I hope it's true. But there's also that realism part of my brain. The realistic pessimist in the back of my brain to temper the overwhelming optimist in me that says, hang on, wait a minute, let's be logical here. But I will just say this, if we ever do get Xenoblade X ever again, oh, you're gonna hear me from orbit, I'm just saying. Oh, dude, the screams of jubilation as I belled out uncontrollable. It's uncontrollable! Oh, dude, it will be immense. I would have to do a karaoke stream of all the lyric songs in Xenoblade X just for the hell of it. Don't clip that. And with that, I'll call the video there for the day. Thank you all for tuning in. My pleasure for making the video. And if you enjoyed me rambling and yapping about Xenoblade Chronicles X, as I'm prone to do every now and then, please leave a like and subscribe. It really helps the channel out and helps support future content, and I greatly appreciate it. Stay safe, have a great day. Leave a comment down below with if you would be excited for a Xenoblade Chronicles X remaster or remake. I would love to hear your thoughts, hear your opinions, and to hear your perspectives on that idea. You more a fan of a remaster or a remake? Let me know. I'd love to hear your thoughts. Stay safe, have a great day. I'll see you all next time. Bye-bye, everybody. Until we meet again.